Hello and welcome to yet another edition of Indiepocalypse Radio, the your weekly somewhere between an interview show and a postcon hangout you find yourself in with Indiepocalypse Radio. I'm your host Andrew, the editor, etc., of all of Indiepocalypse. Of course, Indiepocalypse being the monthly anthology of alternative games. There's a new one that just came out just yesterday, 51. It's over the hill to I don't know 100, I guess, if we set arbitrary guidelines or metrics. But all that aside, we are here with, oh no, I screwed up. I deleted something very important. Can I remember off the top of my head? We are here with some guests from that aforementioned Indiepocalypse. The first guest is from issue. Is it? No. Guess. Do you remember which one it is? It's very recent. I think it is. It 40. It's either 47 or 48.
Something like that, or 50 maybe even.
Um,
Well, I can look it up, I think.
was I wrong? Was it before that? Is time the inevitable march of time creeping out on me? Is it going to be like 46?
We had to skip a couple of weeks, I think, because of scheduling. It's 44.
Oh my god, that's too
I'm sorry.
that, that's too long ago.
Yeah.
Um, but from issue 44 of Indiepocalypse with Eldritch Arena is Jan of Spell Loop Games. Jan, how you doing today?
I'm doing fine. A little
Perfect.
tired.
Oh
Was yesterday on a concert, so getting old as well.
yeah, that'll kind of a concert will give you an excuse for when you just want to say when you don't want to say I'm getting older.
Usually I'm in bed at this time, but yeah.
Oh yeah. See, that's the trickiness of this international show. I'm like, I gotta find
No,
like,
yeah, it was a joke. It's 8 p.m. here,
oh okay.
so.
Oh, you never know. Some people
Yeah, you
are
got to be explicit if it's international with your times. That's true.
yeah. I there's I think I did one panel where I had uh guests basically all over the world, and I think there was like 2 hours in which it kind of works for everybody. But that's sort of it. That's kind of like your whole window is those 2 hours. If you want to get people in like East Asia, Australia area, the U.S. and Europe area.
That's cool that there is a time for that.
Yeah, it's. I mean, some people have to get up very early. Some people have to stay up very late. But and so for some people, it's just right. But for everyone else, we're here at the regular two because two hits the Europe region and the U.S., which is primarily which makes up most of the people who are in this show or that whole thing.
Yeah.
But I mentioned I gotta first off I need to ask a very important question off the top of the show, the important Indiepocalypse question. How did you hear about Indiepocalypse?
I'm not sure, to be honest. I I think it was social media somehow, and it's has been quite some time ago. Um, and I remember that I was always like, I need something to apply to Indiepocalypse because it's just the name and the style of design was really appealing to me.
Yeah.
And yeah, then when I had Eldritch Arena, I knew, okay, now I've got to apply. And yeah, I was ignored for a long time.
That
And
well,
and for such a long time, in fact, that I forgot that I applied. So I
yes.
applied again, and then I was in. And then I realized, like with the itch.io, it shows you where you applied for, and then I saw like, oh my God, I did apply twice. Kind of embarrassed, but
Is so I encourage I try to keep up on especially these sort of well, I keep a list of I have a excessive spreadsheet of games and games that are like
I can imagine.
would fit, but were um, just like cut for space, as I
Mm.
say. I put on a big list, and sometimes I go in that big list and I go, "Hey, it's been 3.5 years since someone submitted it, and they never actually resubmitted. Maybe I'll just email them to resubmit."
That's nice.
Or that kind of thing. I dig into my. I've been getting more generally hands on. And I'm trying to find the balance between like it still being an open thing that someone could, any person could invite, could submit to, and being a thing where I just like pick a bunch of them and kind of give it my guiding hand.
Yeah, that's cool. I mean, I really like the selection. So much weird stuff every time.
Yes, and part of my guiding hand is going weirder,
Yeah.
and also like covering some things that are just like in this upcoming in 52. I think there's some games on there that are creeping into like a decade, you know, since they've come out.
Wow, that's cool.
Because games have been around for a long time. People have been making
Well,
independent games for a while.
relatively, I guess.
Even within like the scale of like itch, publishing stuff on itch, that's well over a decade, and the game
Yeah,
landscape is very different now
that's
compared
true.
to a decade ago, or it's
That's
just it's
true.
much larger.
Yeah, way larger, but I still feel like it's such a young medium, still
Yes,
like struggling to find its voice or like its significance in a
yeah,
lot of aspects.
I think about that with like uh, canonical lists a lot, um, and how there aren't you could go to other mediums and often find like you like if you want like you're more like this top whatever IMDb's top movies are fun and all, but like you want a more like arts avant-garde sort of list, or like a more
Mm.
criticky style list, if you will.
Yeah,
You can find amples of those, but in games it feels like these canonical lists are kind of all more or less similar.
that's true. It's also, I think, a problem maybe with the conversation, conservatorship.
Yes, right.
They get lost so easily. Uh,
Right. And you have to like there's the unspoken aspect of like it's most of games history is just you kind of have to accept, oh, you just pirate ROMs and ISOs.
yeah,
And
that's cool. That's a lot of fun to do.
yeah, and
Like
it's
it's really diving into the rabbit hole and finding the stuff. And I was like, just experiences like the decades of difference in user friendliness games have made.
right. Right.
Kind of like reading like a really old book or a movie where you like just who's talking like that? It's so weird how they people act. Like they're
Yes.
not like as accessible as the stuff we have now.
And you can see like difference of like design ethos in the same way that if you go back so many old films, like, oh, these feel like plays,
Mm, yes, yeah, especially.
and like
And unfortunately, here in Germany, like our movie industry is still like in this stage play phase. I feel like they still like talk like that a lot, and I
they
can't
do.
watch German movies because, or like most German movies, because of that. It's weird.
Oh, so they still have like that very broad, like proclarative. I'm looking for a word that says when you the style to proclaim things. Proclamative. I'm just gonna go with that. When
Yeah, I can't help you with that.
yes, I
Yeah,
know. I'm like, hey, I need help with a very specific English word, very obtuse English word.
yeah,
But
definitely.
yeah,
It's
that kind
interesting, but
that
I think it's also because like there's not a lot of money here in Germany for
right.
movies. Not a lot of love. All the people who are really good, they go to America to make their movies.
Yeah, that's
So
the
we get the talent is lost as well.
the thing about U.S. is like, oh, I want to make art. If I can get
Yeah.
money for it, you get it in the U.S. or your country, your state gives it to you.
Yeah. Yeah, we are
It's really deep.
trying. Germany is trying with the video games. We've got like a big fund now for like I think 4 or 5 years, where they're like specifically putting like I don't know 1 million or 2 millions. And you can apply for that as smaller indie studios. Unfortunately, the bigger can apply as well. They siphon off a lot of the money. But yeah, I've heard that there are like a lot of countries who are way better. I think Australia
Yeah,
is great.
they've been doing a big push, and I think having like some big breakout successes probably helps them. Like, I guess that's also the part of the point of state funding, right? Is that you
Hmm.
get like a breakout successes for your country and be like, look, look at that goose. Um,
Yeah,
that's what our arts funding got us, and then
yeah,
you get this kind of so there's
yeah. It's good.
that partly I imagine what motivates arts funding. I mean, it's like, hey,
Yeah, yeah. I think like lots of our arts funding is like movies, in fact, movies, and like you can apply for them as well for your video games, but you're like competing with all those movie people, and the people who decide who gets the money are also like movie people. So it's usually we don't get a lot. So it was a great change. But it's weird that it's like I think Germany should be way better in video games because I mean German board games are like international word
right, yes, that's
to identify.
yeah,
How did we sleep on the video games? We could have been great.
right, and listen, not just video game versions of board games, right? That's like a whole subgenre practically
Yeah.
within board games of German board games,
I mean in video games we've got the simulators.
right,
That's our specialty, football managers and stuff.
right. So
And
if you like driving a truck um,
yeah.
across countries, you've got that locket marked down. You've got that market locked down, rather than not that locket marked down. You've got that market locked down. But if you want to do other things like Eldritch Auto Chess, um, maybe they don't have millions. But so I alluded to it briefly. If people are unfamiliar, um, what is Eldritch Arena?
Yeah, Elgerina is my version of auto chess. So auto chess is this how would you describe that? You've got your characters. It's like a strategy game, real time, but the characters they move on their own, and you can just decide who's gonna be on the battlefield. You can place them a little bit, and then between your battles, you can upgrade them. And I've heard of this like a couple of times, and everyone was like, "Yeah, you'd love it. You gotta play it." And I was really fascinated by the idea, but I somehow didn't want to play any of these, so I just made my own version of it without really playing anything else. Um, just reading up, of course, like how they work, and it was a lot of fun. I took Oinix, I think is the guy who made the sprites. Uh, he makes a lot of the classic sprites you've seen probably in every second indie game. He
Right.
did a Eldritch version with all the big old ones and monsters and stuff, and I was like, damn, I gotta make a game with these. So this came together, and I decided, well, if the old gods are waiting beyond, maybe they're gonna have something to pass the time
Yeah,
and match up monsters that fight against each other.
and it's it's right there in the name. There's a lineage to board games there, so you could hey
Yeah.
maybe you could swing a little, be like, hey, we've got new digital chess that you don't play, but you do play. It is like auto chess is a very strange term for it.
Yeah, I don't know where the chess comes from.
Right. It's just a very bizarre kind of. It's just like a term we've inherited. Um,
I mean,
it,
somebody had to coin it. It
right.
was like, oh, what is it like? Oh, it's like chess, but you don't have to think.
Right, and
Okay, it's not a chess.
auto
Okay,
chess,
if
of
you say.
course, I believe came from the other sensibly named Dota 2.
Oh,
Um,
right, yeah.
itself just
Defense
like
of the ancients. Yeah.
right. No, it's just a word called Dota, not.
Oh, yeah, but that was
Yeah, yeah,
because of the mod it was based on, yeah.
right. It was just
When
Defense of
it
the
became
Ancients.
its own brand name, basically.
It's very bizarre. And Defense of the Ancients itself, is that just like a was that just like a named sequel to Aeon of Strife? Who
I don't
knows?
know.
But it is a very bizarre thing, and you see like still like um it's like it's weird how it's become like a subgenre of this kind of like round based like puzzle. It's almost like puzzle. It's hard to describe what exactly
Mm.
like auto chess as a
It's
genre is.
strategy, definitely.
Yeah,
You fulfill strategy, and it's got like this almost roguelike feel with the randomization. So
yeah,
you're given your hand, and you've got to adapt to what. So it's got something in common with like deck builders, I think.
yeah. It's
Just
this
you're
weird
not building a
like
deck, you're building a squad.
it it,
And yeah,
it is very much like a what's like a where like the individual is um exceeds like what its some parts are.
yeah, you're building something out of the blocks you're given, and then you're competing with it. And I,
Yeah,
and I really like this this idea. Like I love deck building games. I love the strategy, and I love also this. I don't know. I feel like game developers were like thinking about, okay, well, what can we like simplify, and then they said like, do I really have to tell this monster to where to go and to fight? I mean, can it fight alone, and I just
right.
concentrate on the tactical aspect?
Yeah,
I
it's
really like
it's
that. Like,
they're
what?
like strategy RPGs for people who really like going through menus,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
but hyper condensed.
I'm always thinking like how like I love these experiences, and I love like the strategical thinking. But especially now with my age and the constraint in time, I can't really read up on everything. I want to have like self-explanatory. Like the old games, you had to find out everything yourself, but it took like ages. It's not really manageable, and now I feel like I want games that like explain themselves and are like friendly to just try and fail at, but like have a progress that's fast enough to give me some satisfaction before I have to wake up and go work for money again.
Right. And they're also like, most of these games they're relatively short. They're like, what 7 to 9 rounds if you make it through, and that's if you make it to every single round.
Yeah.
But like by and large, they're relatively like shorter things, and it's like short but competitive stuff. And
Yeah. Like a bite-sized strategy, kind
yeah,
of.
and
The
it's
only game that from that like genre that I really stopped playing after was Super Auto Pets, which even simplified it one step further. You just get one dimension basically,
yeah, right.
and
It's
it's so much better. I love
it's just
that.
like the most condensed version you could
Yeah,
have of that style of game, and that is I don't. It's a genre I am usually don't spend too much time with the repetitive roguelike multiplayer etc genres in general, just
Mm.
because I have little time and I'm like, oh, I could just play one game forever. I was like, well, I want to play other games,
Yeah.
but
I
it
can only play games until I understand like how they work, and
right.
then like the fascination is gone. But yeah, for a while I was kind of hooked on Super Auto Pets. The only game that really like keeps its hooks in or like pulls me back all the time is Magic the Gathering. But
You're
it's always new somehow.
you're activating nerve centers in my brain,
Oh, I'm sorry.
and no, it's fortunate that I like, don't have like I just will not install it again. I don't have enough people around me that regularly play that I can just like be free from it.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah,
asked,
I'm playing it with paper over this platform Spellloop.
okay,
Not Spellloop, that's my company.
yes,
What's the Spell Table? I'm sorry. Yeah, still Spell Table. That's really neat because yeah, I know it gives me the nostalgia from using the cards and stuff. And I feel like it's the best it's the best game for video game developers anyway because you can build your own kind of game you want to play
yeah,
with your deck.
that the joy of like being like, oh, this card looks cool. How can I make it work?
Yeah.
And sometimes, like a game developer, you don't make it work. And
Well, it doesn't work, great, but
right,
it's your baby. It's fine. You
exactly.
like,
Listen, I have, and then when it does work, there's a true satisfaction of uh, an arena with its own special like treat because I think there's inherently a lot more like people looking up decks online and just kind of like autopiloting, and then when
mm,
you would have weird stuff, they wouldn't know what to do with it sometimes.
oh yeah, that's that's really some of the most fun you can have is when the others are really perplexed by what you're playing.
Yeah, no, my fondest memory from arena is using friction obliterators, and a guy just like blasted it for like 8 damage or something. He's like, I got rid of it, and then he like hovered over all of his stuff constantly and was confused, and then all of his stuff disappeared, and he quit.
Oh no.
But it's clearly like a bad move, but it's just like inexperience and just like instinctually big monster kill big monster.
Yeah. With the online play, like sometimes I'm surprised by how little time people take to play.
Right,
Like
right.
they are just sitting on the toilet, probably just like dragging stuff around, and
Yeah,
then they gotta play against me. It was like using the whole time of the round to think every move through, and then
because
and I'm
the
like perplexed why they're doing such a simple mistake. But yeah, they're probably not putting in the time that I do.
no, no, it's a different approach to it. It's kind of like this. Oh well, this is the top meta deck. I know how this deck works, and I'll pilot it, and then they probably know against the other meta decks they play against, and then when find something that's off meta and weird, they're like, oh, I don't know what I'm supposed to do with this thing. I'm just gonna keep doing the things that I usually do. But speaking of things that we usually do, 12 notification. What's going on here? Oh, okay. Speaking of things that we usually do, we usually ask 2 questions here on Indiepocalypse of each guest. There it is. I found my thing. And these are sort of like what I call these were asked repeatedly, and then I asked them of every guest. So it's kind of a weird litmus test. So question number 1: what's your favorite type of rock?
So I did my due diligence and listened at least to one episode,
Yes.
so
So you're
I knew it
prepared.
was me. Yeah, I don't care for rock in the stone sense at all. I thought like maybe I can find some rock that I like more than others, but nope. But I do love stoner rock. Yeah, psychedelic rock, progressive rock.
Yes. No, I was during the intro, my intro preface, I played a track from Rostro del Sol, which is a Mexican band, and they are from, the Weedian's Trip to Mexico collection.
Oh, interesting.
Uh, but we don't have. We're wrapping up the segment. We don't have all the time to talk about Weedian. I assume. Is there a Weedian trip to Germany? There's got to be, right?
Weedian trip to Germany? What do you mean?
Are you familiar with Weedian?
Weedian, no?
It is. It's or Weedian. I believe I'm pronouncing it right. They're a publisher that does like monthly. I don't know if they're monthly. Uh, some amount of time anthologies of like progressive stoner doom metal and stuff across like different countries.
Oh, interesting.
So there is a 69 track album of Trip to Germany of different German like the stoner rock, doom sludge in that kind of broad sort of genre.
Oh, I gotta look that up. That sounds cool.
Yeah, they are, and they're all
Yeah.
they're all they're all name your price. It's a very cool project. Oh, I should invite the Wii and people on here. Can I? Do they have contact info? Anyway, um,
Yeah, I'm sure we've got a lot. Like, I think the progressive rock scene in Germany is pretty solid.
yeah, yeah. They got
Even like,
they got a lot here. It's also like a great little like sampler. If you're like, oh man, I'm gonna find, one of 69 new bands.
yeah, definitely.
And second question, do you have a favorite Toho character?
Favorite Toho character. Interesting. Toho is the Japanese animation studio.
Uh, the Bullet Hell franchise is the one I'm referring to. There's a difference of pronunciation that I don't know how to do. Uh,
Uh, I don't think so. No.
perfect. That good thing that is an optional question. uh, but anyway, Jan, we're at the end of our segment here. But because this truly flies by. Um,
Indeed, it does.
Thank you for joining me here today. We are going to go
Thank
on a
you.
break, and we'll be back in about 2 minutes and 52 seconds. Uh, until then, goodbye. Hello, and welcome back to Indiepocalypse Radio. That was Hop Along with Get Disowned. We are here with our next guest, who you may know from Indiepocalypse issue. I didn't close it. Number 50. Now no longer the golden child in the bright sun is now relegated to that the 50th penultimate. I don't know. There are no middle children anymore. There's just too many games in this. There's too many of these issues. Anyway, um, it's Yodek with Purist Pilgrimage. Hello, how you doing today?
Hello, it's fine. It was okay today in Ukraine.
Oh yes,
Uh,
I can only imagine.
yeah, we had like recently an alarm, but it stopped pretty soon.
Okay.
There was nothing.
Oh, that's hey,
Uh,
it's great to hear. We've had a couple of guests from Ukraine on the show, and it is.
yeah, they are my friends, like
Oh
Valery Petrov and
okay.
Daria Selisheva. Yes, I
Yes.
don't know actually if Daria was. I know she had a game.
Yes.
Uh,
I believe she had a
what's
yeah we
up
yeah
in Kharkiv bomb shelter.
yes we she had a game included, but I don't think we ever got a like nailed down a schedule. That's a good reminder to email her again and be like, hey, let's work out. It was like difficulty working out a time to be on the show, a date for that.
Oh,
But yes, no. So I maybe that answers
yeah.
my first question. But how did you hear about Indie Apocalypse?
Well, but I did hear from about Indiepocalypse, not from them, but I like the game First Dungeon
Oh, okay.
uh, by Jeremy Couillard,
Yes.
and he had also been a guest on the podcast,
Yeah.
actually on the radio.
Yes.
Uh, so yes, I knew about India Apocalypse, googling the Stalker in Jeremy Collier online,
That
I guess.
and that one was that was I'm like wait a minute, that was like not too long ago, but that was a long time ago too. That was like but Jesus, things going on forever. But I even like Valerie and Daria were like also a while ago. Now that I think about it, I make too many of these
Uh,
things. My God.
yes.
Um,
Uh, I'm not sure, like, I guess Daria was like issue 28 or something.
yeah,
Uh, and Jeremy, I guess like in the first 10, or
I
I
think so.
don't know actually.
He's in like 8 or something. Not 8. He's very. Is he in like 11? I used to be very good. I used to be very good at this, but then
Oh,
um, that was when there weren't like 50 of them. I'm not gonna
uh,
look through all these and try to find it. Um, but yes, no, it has been a while. But you haven't been a while. You're just but a month old in terms of all of these collections. And if people are unfamiliar with Piero's Pilgrimage, what is it?
uh, I mean, it's basically like a walking simulator with some mini games included, and you walk and talk to some characters. Uh, I don't know. It's an expression in RPG Maker
Right.
MV, I guess.
Yeah, I like
Uh,
walking simulator is a kind of familiar term, but also like RPG Maker, quote unquote, walking talking simulator is its own kind of subgenre, like RPG Maker without all the RPG stuff in it. Um,
yes. I mean, there is some. There is like also a little middle genre, whereas there are some fights, but
yeah,
they are like not very consequential, or maybe there is like a boss sur surprise in the end of the game or something like that.
right.
But
Or
yeah, other-
or
uh,
a fight that is not necessarily like a fight, but it's using the framing of an RPG battle as part of its like narrative.
yes. Actually, like I made before the Pierce Pilgrimage, I made like sort of a demo version called Catherine's Destiny. Uh, or yes, Catherine's Destiny, and it had some fights, but I don't know it was also like I made them very. Uh, the game was very little, so I made them very difficult. I made like 1 HP on the character
Right.
and like 99, 900, 9,999 attacks with some like misses. So it was very frustrating, but for some reason I thought that was very like to the theme of the Destiny, like rhyming or uh,
Yeah, there is like just like bucking these conventions, and that is sort of that kind of way of uh, technically they are RPG battles, but like they're not really RPG battles in the way that you would think they are. They're just uh, like narrative encounters framed within numbers and that sort of thing.
yeah. Um, uh,
But it is like
well,
an interesting, and it does like the nice thing, of course, about like these pre-built engines is they do a lot of the work for you first of all, but they
uh, okay, yeah.
so it allows you to focus and think about sort of like how you use the toolkit.
Uh, what RPG Maker games do you like?
uh Trying to, I'll just loosely off the top of my head, give me
What?
there is the old classic I think that exists within my even my old indie games folder of Space Funeral.
Like yeah, the Catamites
Yes,
game, yeah,
I liked
very nice. Uh,
um I like enjoy uh, Lisa's RPG maker, right? Yes, yes, I,
Ah, Lisa, yes.
yes,
Uh, can I ask you a question?
yes.
Like indie apocalypse, what do you think about like the indie term now? Uh, when like indie is so broad of a topic, and now even like triple I some games, or for example, like in 2000 there were like shareware.
Yeah,
Then I heard about Zune games, like the Dojin game, the Japanese terms. There are Flash games, or there are GM games. So, what do you think about the indie indie term?
like
Uh,
I use it sometimes still, but it feels kind of like a meaningless term that really doesn't describe, especially the kind of stuff that I work with. And when people say indie, they're probably not thinking about these like shorter,
yeah,
more experimental sort of things. Like I think occasionally, I wonder if sometimes people shorthand them as like itch games. I think I
yeah,
use alternative is the word I've been going with for a while to describe them. Kind of like because indie, so much of indie now it seems like it's sort of towards like replicating the design philosophy of like AAA stuff and like
yes, and that's I can understand that strategy, but I also don't understand that indie tries. I mean, I guess that something that the most people know about the games, like uh, even I mean the original indies, like the Pixel, he made uh, um, I mean Cave Story is
yeah.
very like Mario, or then like those Newground type games. Isaac is like Zelda, so they are using the mechanics of the older mainstream games.
Right,
Um,
right, but it's also like a thing where those games were like um, you know, Cave Story's old. And Isaac, it's a weird thing where it's like at the time of their like development, this kind of more like uh, archaic design and like harkening back to older design was almost like itself was like a newer, like you didn't get as much as in the indie space. So it's kind of like these things kind of shift. If you made Cave Story in 2024, does it stand out in the same way? I mean, it probably does because it's good. um, but
yeah, but I mean there were also like published games that were quite experimental,
yeah,
like in the PS2 era, or especially like on the DS, or like I'm not sure like all the earlier handhelds, but I think on DS there are like a lot of experimental stuff.
yeah, I
Uh,
think it's something you're seeing um, across a lot of mediums. Like it's not just distinct to games of like a retraction from like giving money to experimental stuff, and hedging more towards safe bet kind of things. Where it's like, oh well,
yeah.
how is this thing going to make us money? Before a publisher gives you money, they need to know how. Like, what are the bullet points of what games is this? What profitable games is this game a combination of, so that we will know we will make money if we give you money. That kind of thing.
Yeah, and I guess I mean that's a correct strategy from a business standpoint.
Right.
Uh, but the creative medium is it's hard to in this um, environment to grow like the artistic medium in the experimental side.
Right. Right. And there's just like infinite amounts of like experimental like breakthrough games that you don't you would never publish because people would never know, but then they eventually somebody just like works towards them and makes them, and then you have these breakout things because people, audiences, the average person is more, I think, interested in different experiences than your like market research would imply. Like
Yes, but there is also like an issue to get the game, to get the eyes on the game,
right.
and like uh, I'm not even sure. Like in 2000s, there were like game magazines. The curation was I guess mainly made by game magazines, and now the curation is mainly made by the streamers, but the
Yes.
streamers are very genre dependent. So uh, mm, for the indie, I guess the best genre is like horror game because many streamers are actively seeking the indie horror games to stream and
Yeah.
uh,
I've found very reliably in doing this project that even the least interesting horror game I've ever played that gets submitted to Indiepocalypse will have like 6 videos of people playing through it. Uh,
yeah, I made like joke game called Bingo, uh, where you win in the end, and you need to you know that maze, the scary maze meme.
yes, yeah,
Yeah, and in the end, you need to solve this scary maze. And it's my the most like popular game,
right.
but it's so stupid.
Yeah, it's just like it's this kind of like sub market of people who want to watch other people at least either be scared or pretend to be scared, and it's like it doesn't really matter what the game is. Sometimes it's very strange. Like as long as it like is horror, people will be like, "Yeah, sign me up. I want to play this horror game."
Yeah, but I wonder what is so appealing in the horror. It's like I mean, it's an intense emotion. It's like escapism, I guess.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know what the huge draw is, but it is there is definitely like an irresistible pull to horror. Uh, I think people just like getting scared. They like being scared, and they like being scared with other people. But uh, speaking of things that people like, you've had a little time to prepare. I have some important questions for you. What's your favorite type of rock?
Um, I actually like I love some a channel YouTube channel called Pulitzer Opal, and it there is like a guy and he talks about opals, and I'm pretty into opals right now. And if you uh, in this sense of music, uh, it's complicated. I mean, like, does breakcore or industrial is it rock?
I've much like with games, I have a very loose definition of what rock is. It could be, I whatever you want. Industrial. If I say the words industrial rock, that sounds like a genre of music, so I'll allow it.
Yeah, but no, actually, like, I love Led Zeppelin,
Okay.
but I guess that's like pretty classical rock, dude.
Right. That's ancient rock. I've been realizing that now. Like, you know, the music what I thought of as contemporary music as a kid is probably now as far away from me as Led Zeppelin was when I was growing up. It is like very I'm like, oh yes, it is like classic, but we're not going to get into discussing
Yeah,
subgenres
yeah,
forever. Because music, if music's got one thing right, it's they've got plenty. They've got a good collection of subgenres.
yeah.
Um,
But also, like, it's very, I guess, it's more like tropey because uh, music also has like indie subgenre, but
right.
it encapsulates like great variety, and even the pop genre also uh, has like a lot of hip hop elements right now, or even rock elements.
Yeah, you have to
Uh,
like
so it's
go into those
weird.
those deeper subgenres to be like, sure, what is this? What is this specific style? But speaking of something that encapsulates a high number of styles and genres, do you have a favorite Toho character?
Well, I like the Fairy War uh, uh, era. So I guess like Clown Piece and Cyrano, of course.
Okay,
Uh, I guess like fairies, fairies. I love fairies.
perfect, perfect. Um, and with that, we are going to go to a break. Yodok, thank you for joining me here today. We will be back in about 3 minutes and 6 seconds. Goodbye for now. Hello and welcome back to. I almost said another edition, but no, this is the same edition of Indiepocalypse Radio we're sitting in. That was Husker Du with Newest Industry. We are here with our final guest of the show. From once again from Indiepocalypse issue 50, almost as if these issues get added, and all these these first time guests are from the new ones. But it's Steven with the game Stairs back. Steven, how are you doing today?
Hello, I'm doing good.
Important question. You got to get it out of the way.
Yes.
How did you hear about Indiepocalypse?
So, I'm pretty sure I've seen it on the front page of Itch a few times,
Yeah.
but I only like submitted because I was narcissistically looking at Stairs Back's collections,
Okay.
like 3 months after it released, and I saw it was added to a collection that was like submit to Indiepocalypse, and that's when I checked it out.
Oh, okay. So, yeah. So
Yeah.
I have this. I go through my feed that currently has
Mm,
36 new entries in it, and whenever I see things that are uh, have 5 stars or are added to other people's positive collections, I add them to my own collections.
mm,
When I say own collections, this own gigantic collection that I just called to play, um, as a way to to soft nudge people to submit things, and then once a month I also just go in there and start playing a bunch of games to sort of hard nudge people, and then by hard nudge I mean I email them and say, hey, submit your game to Indiepocalypse.
mm.
Um,
Yeah, the soft nudge worked on me, I guess.
yeah, no, it worked on someone. Well, I haven't played the game yet because I just submitted yesterday, but
Mm.
it worked on someone. It works occasionally, and it's a handy little thing.
Yeah, I had like before I saw that, I remember thinking how I really want to be in a zine, like it's a main goal of mine.
Right.
So then when I saw that, I was like, hold on, this is perfect.
Yeah, especially because there's not as many in games really.
Yeah, I I was looking into it. It's very hard to find
Right.
stuff about that.
There's like as opposed to I think if you're in like art, there's like a lot more. If you're just like, I feel when I think about it, there's like there's probably a million zines constantly running for like
Yeah.
fanzines and just like different thematic zines and just like artists like to make zines, you know?
Yeah. I was thinking about it for my artwork, that I don't do that often,
Right.
but then I was like, if I could do this for a game, it's even better.
Right. It's just
So it worked out.
yeah, you found the one. That's not true. There are other like infrequent, and I guess bundles sort of cover
Mm.
that fill that niche a little bit, but I'm a stickler, and I think aesthetically they're not the same. You know?
Yeah, I haven't looked into many other game zines. This is the only one I know,
Yeah.
and I think it's
There's
really cool.
so thank you. There's not. Are there? I don't know. Technically speaking, I don't know if there are others. Uh,
There's probably some really small ones.
yeah, and
So they're,
there are definitely a lot of like similarly structured like anthology and stuff.
mm,
One off, plenty of one offs like like a Cartomancy and 10MG. Dozine was going for a little while. There's different. There's a couple out of Michigan. I think they're just called locally sourced. There's quite a few.
mm.
Um, but no other sickos who are just like doing it monthly, I guess.
Especially 50, 51 now.
Yes.
That's crazy.
Yeah. I've been over 4 years of just doing this thing. Or just like, what if I just do it every month?
Yeah. No,
And
it's awesome.
thank you. And I've made it harder to quit even. Since I organized it a month in advance now.
Mm.
But that's enough about this. Indiepocalypse. The point of Indiepocalypse is not to talk about Indiepocalypse. It's to talk about the games inside of Indiepocalypse. One of those
Yes.
games being Stairs Back. Well, if people aren't familiar with what is Stairs Back,
So Stairs Back is like I like to make games with my random characters,
yeah,
just making them the protagonist and seeing how it is.
your own
So
personal
Stairs Back is yeah.
Kazakhstan star system.
So Stairs Back is like just a little kinetic visual novel. I believe kinetic's where it's like no choices, like
Yes.
barely any interaction. Yeah, so it's like that, and I wanted to make it like a movie, so it's like a ton of CGs, no sprites or anything,
Right.
and it's just kind of like depressing.
No, that very early tap on the back effect that I made sure to include in. I don't know if I put it in the trailer itself. Is a very good like little gets the idea
Mhm.
across.
Exactly, I love stuff like that. Like just making it feel so immersive. I don't know.
Yeah, and that I think that's even like within kinetic novels. I think people. There's a lot of. I mean, also I just played March 31st, so I'm thinking about. I forget the full title of it. Um,
Mm.
so I am thinking more about this, about just generally the short stick of visual novels get in broader games culture.
Yeah.
When there's is click is just clicking through text inherently less interactive than uh, uh, claiming the same outpost 60 times across a landscape.
Yeah, that's true. That's why I kind of like to in my games. Like I've only made two so far, really three technically.
Right.
Um, I like to include little gameplay sections. So in this one, it was like the telescope. It's just moving around, but it's like, whoa, you're moving a telescope. You get to
Right.
see things.
And it connects the player to the work. It is
And it offers like different scares than you might usually be able to do.
right. It's
Uh,
any situation where you can take someone's control away, if but ever briefly, is like
yeah.
those opportunities.
Yeah, you guys were just talking about horror games and
Yes.
stuff, and I just wanted to offer my like tiny answer to why I find horror games appealing.
Yes.
Um, It's because I like to see characters like break. I don't know. I like to see them very like sad and like I don't know. Crazy's kind of like a bad term now,
Yeah.
but I do like to. I like to say I like crazy characters, and horror's perfect for that.
Right. You like to see uh, the slow breakdown of a human being.
Yeah,
There is. It's a weird thing to say, but there
it's
is.
appealing. I don't know. It's fun.
Right. Right. There is an appeal to just like someone, especially it is like it is that part of like escape because it's one of those things that you don't want to see in real people,
Yeah.
but
So you get to see it in like the simulated environment. I think most people though, like you guys were also talking about YouTubers. I think in
yes,
that case, it's just seeing people scream.
yes,
It's not really about that.
you've got quite a few on your page. I was scrolling through.
Yeah,
You
I'm too embarrassed to watch them.
oh
I find it so hard.
I've never listened back to the show once. I barely uh,
Yeah.
follow up on things that involve me. Um,
It it's just strange. Humans aren't meant to do that. We're not meant to hear ourselves.
right,
It's
we're not.
weird.
Yes, we're not meant to hear ourselves. Not meant to think about ourselves that much.
Yeah,
Really, to be just
exactly.
so consciously observed. Oh, I wonder if it was um I wonder if this was from friend of the show, contributor Ebihime, because
Oh,
you got a
I
comment
know
in here from six
I know
months ago.
them.
Yes, that might be the connective tissue that got it onto that list.
That's
Was it?
crazy. Yeah, that's a what's why am I forgetting what it's called? Um uh Spooktober. It
Yes,
took so long. Yes.
yes, yeah. There are a lot of people who go through who do the unofficial work for me, my own Baker Street dozens or whatever, who go and play a bunch of games out of game jams and rate them and add them to our list so that I can then like borrow that work
hmm
and be like, oh look at these cool games.
Yeah, I was looking through past issues and I was seeing people from Spooktober and I thought that was really cool. It's like,
Yeah,
whoa, my siblings.
right. There is games are both like massively large and infinitely small at the exact same time.
Yeah.
Of there are it's kind of like you remember whichever one you prefer. So if it's if you're like, oh, I can't get any it feels like I can't get in, I feel like I'm locked out of games, then you remember, oh, games are very big, and
Mm,
the thing I'm obsessing about is but a tiny fraction of uh, you know mainstream game culture itself is but a tiny fraction of the games that are being made every single year.
yeah. Yeah, there are tons.
Yeah,
And like
just
not gonna see most of them.
right. Yeah, it's too many games than you could ever play. Like
Yeah.
how many hours of games it's just just sitting on Ebihime's page at the moment. How many hours of games are on that page?
Yeah.
From like one not one creator because they collaborate with a lot of different artists and writers and like programmers and stuff. One uh like how many games does one person touch?
Mm. That's why these like small little communities you can gather them.
Yeah.
It's really nice.
Yeah, no, that's why I'm big on like the idea of promoting your local scene, and checking out
Hmm
what your local group is doing, and also like not worrying about if everyone is talking about your game, because
Yeah.
that kind of thing is a save for people who have these things called advertising budgets.
Yeah, that's my worst part. Do not advertise. Like even the free advertisement, like posting on social media, I'm
Yeah.
so bad at it.
Oh, I am. I hate to tell three contributors to Indiepocalypse, but I'm also very bad at it.
No, I understand. Like,
I similarly dislike it.
yeah, the people at Spooktober are very like insist on advertising, like promoting yourself and being good at it because it's like so important.
Yeah.
Um, I'm I don't take it in. I can't do it.
Right. Right. I I am an opponent of like everything has to be a grind. You know, it seems
Yeah, exactly. And it just seems kind of tacky to me.
right.
Like, I don't know.
It just seems exhausting. You know, to
Yeah,
to
that's not the fun part,
right.
quite
Right.
frankly.
That is part of why. For as little as I like doing it, if I do a little bit more for creators who don't want to do it at all, that's that's
Definitely. Like, this has probably been the most I've put stairs back out there.
right,
So
right.
I think that's good. That's something.
Yeah, it is like, and I'm going to events. I'm going to be in Austin next week, uh,
Ooh,
and I'm bringing the whole truckload of Indiepocalypse with me.
that's awesome.
And
Um,
I regularly kind of go to events or more regularly than usual, go to things and try to like. I think it's important there to be like a library.
yeah, I want to do stuff like that so bad, but I live in Idaho,
Oh yeah,
and there's not much around here, I don't think, unless I want to like drive all the way to Boise or something.
right, right. I
Yeah.
mean, I would say maybe check to see if there are like local flea markets and art markets.
Mhm.
I'm also like in New England, so like everything is a lot closer where I am.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't, I've looked before. Like the most I've seen was a general horror like con.
Right.
Um, but that's like very general, so I don't know how that works.
Yeah, I don't know. Like I go to in Providence, kind of regularly go to what is just like a craft art market fair thing that's in a farmer's market. There are people making stuff out of
Mm.
honey and people selling prints, and it's just kind of that general sort of thing.
Yeah, we have one of those. I probably should check that out.
Yeah, yeah, and also they're usually like super cheap.
Yeah, I've just never thought about using that as like a space for a game, I guess.
Yeah, like I don't necessarily have people like play them.
Mm.
And you wouldn't have to either. Just like having like a trailer loop or just like a gameplay looking loop, or maybe people could sit down and play. I don't know, like the vibe of the. I have like
Yeah.
all my zines and stuff, uh,
Mm.
and I have like my little tapes. So I have like I have a storefront that works, but also it's probably not that much. I mean, maybe you might have to have a table, but
Yeah. The physical stuff helps. I was talking with a coworker of mine about setting up like an art booth um to like sell art, so that's possible.
right, yeah, yeah. No, if you can sell art, you definitely can sell games because games are just art.
Yeah, very true.
And even like free games you would usually sell on itch for free, I think you can put like or you could like bundle them together in like a little like quote unquote short story collection or something. Or
Mhm. That's what I want to do. My goal is to make 4 of these like little kinetic visual novels and then make a 5th one and put all of them on Steam in a collection.
yeah, no, I am
Like
I
that's
I'm
my
a
main goal.
I'm a huge proponent of the short story collection for like game
I
developers.
love that so much.
I
It'd be
think
so cool.
is like an underutilized format, because like it is so weird to talk about like how money, but people need money to live.
Yeah.
And the unfortunate nature of our life. So I'm like, well, how? I like to think about how can people best make money while also uh, not making art that they hate, or like,
Yeah.
so it's like how can people still make the art and the games and stuff that they want to make, but also not have to work 2 jobs or work a job that they hate, and or what if they got a little extra and like that is that is
Yeah.
that is my goal.
That's what I've been thinking about a lot lately. I found that when something gets successful for me, like I had these animations on my YouTube channel that got like this one has 900K views,
Oh yeah,
and the the paycheck from that can be it's like $100 every couple of months right now.
Right.
But that's nice. And if I made more of those, that adds up. But I really don't want to make more of those for some reason.
Right.
And I like sticking to the small games, and that's what actually is kind of fun. So
Right, because that's the thing. Like, do you want to then, like, oh, okay, well, I did this. Jumping in a giant hole with 100 people got me 6 million views on YouTube. I guess we're just jumping in giant holes forever.
yeah, exactly. Like I don't want to do that. I want to do the things that are actually like engaging and fulfilling.
Yeah, but also, having get $100 for something you didn't do. You don't have to do anymore.
Yeah, it is nice. Like just every couple months, I'll be like, oh, a paycheck.
Yeah,
Nice.
royalties. I love sending royalties personally.
Yeah, no, it's so cool.
Like, and,
It's
it's not
nice.
100. It's more like 6 every 8 months. $6, that is. But
Still, it's something. Like all
right,
this stuff, it adds up.
right. It all kind of like builds towards something. Towards like, it's like trying to be slightly more like sustainable.
Yeah,
I think there is like a hobbyist space. The hobbyist space for games feels extremely weird.
it is.
In that, like, it's either you're a free game dev or you gotta hustle nonstop and make your thing. With he's like, we need the video game equivalent of I make woodworking for fun and then I sell the benches that I make.
Exactly. Like everyone I tell about like the games I make, I feel like they're always interested in like uh I don't know, the numbers, I guess. Like that
Right.
sounds really corny, but like the process itself is what's fun.
Yeah.
Um yeah, I
Yeah.
don't know. That's why I like game jams because they force me to do the process.
Yes. No. Something I've been thinking about a lot in these past few months is I've been remembering I submitted to something to get a small grant from, like, I forget, something in New York. Maybe it was like Baby Castles, but but in their rejection they said, "Sorry, we're not giving you any money because even if we don't give you money, you're just gonna keep making Indiepocalypse." And I'm like, I guess so.
Oh my
I guess that's
gosh.
true. I guess that's true. Um, or it's more like I did not need the money to make what I was making, that kind of thing.
Mm, still,
Uh,
like give me money, you know?
right. But the idea, like, no, I mean, I accepted like someone who maybe would like $500 would give them time or
Yeah.
resources to make a game, and they should make that thing. But it also kind of like cemented this relationship with Indiepocalypse that I had for a long time that I did not think about, which was I just like making it. Uh, Also,
Yeah.
when I started it, I was working a much worse job that I hated a lot more. So, that kind of.
It's also nice having something that like just stays with you in life, I guess,
Yeah.
no matter how you're doing.
Right.
So it's like a anchor, I guess.
Yeah, right. It's like I got to do this every single month. I've got to play these games every single month.
Yeah.
I've got to. Starting next week, I've got to find a new. Do I need to find new covers to commission? I don't remember if I need to find new covers to commission. I think I might have, people coming in late might have covered that for me, or emailing me after the fact. But anyway, that's my own busy work that I'm thinking about. I'm like, well, now that I'm an extra month ahead, I'm like, I don't remember how many games I have to. I guess there's no harm in scheduling ahead, honestly.
Yeah.
It's not like I will be like, oh no, why did I schedule a month in advance? Oh no.
The scheduling thing, I thought this podcast was 3 Saturdays ago.
Oh
That's just because I don't read things properly.
no,
Um,
I schedule this show sometimes a month in advance because it is
yeah, no, I
like,
was so relieved when I saw it wasn't that time.
oh,
Because I was
perfect.
like, okay, I have time to prepare. Good.
Yes, no, I have, like, I need to start working on the 27th, um,
Mm.
because I don't like the schedule. I hate being under the gun, as they say.
Oh,
Uh,
I get that.
I just like to have things done so I don't have to worry about things. But speaking of worrying about things, Steven, I hope you're not worried about this upcoming question because you had 2 guests worth to prepare. What's your favorite type of rock?
So, um, and I'm sure someone else has answered with this like method before. In Outer Wilds, some of the characters are named after rocks, right?
Okay.
Um, so my favorite character, oh my gosh, I lost the page, but Rybekite, because Rybeck is my favorite character in Outer Wilds.
Okay.
But then I looked it up. That rock is kind of ugly, so I'm just gonna say obsidian.
Perfect. An aesthetic cousin to opal, I think. Opal is also black, right? Am I thinking of opal right? No, opal's white. Opal's the opposite.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah.
Opal's that smooth.
Opal's like shiny and rainbow.
Opals
Yeah.
are different. There are like black opals, there are white
Yeah.
opals, and there are
Okay,
different
yes.
opals.
There are a
All
lot of
sorts.
opals.
There are like rainbow opals.
I think this is a situation where I played a video game once and I saw an opal and it was white, and it looked like an egg. But
Well, the white
yeah,
is a very like popular type of opal. It's like, yeah, I guess like European opals are white.
yeah. I am looking, but there are a lot of these like rainbow opals. You're
Or-
right. There's so many different like. It's a cool looking rock. Good. But
Yeah.
now Outer Wilds, that's the time loop space travel one, right?
Yes, I love
Okay.
that game.
Yes. I need to. This is my tri monthly check in. Which one is Outer Wilds? Which one is Outer Worlds?
Yeah, that's the situation with them. One of them is significantly better, and it's Outer Wilds. I love Outer Wilds so much.
Yes.
Best game ever.
I think Outer Worlds is the one I've gotten for free on the Epic Store like 6 times.
Sounds about right. Yeah.
That's the Obsidian game. I generally have Obsidian games though.
Oh, it ties back into Obsidian. Rocks again.
They just brought back what's it called? What did they just bring back? They just brought back what's that game with Alpha Protocol? Like GOG restored Alpha Protocol or something.
I've never heard of it. I will always. I don't really play many Obsidian games. I don't know what else they've made. But
like, classically like New Vegas.
Oh, okay. Because I do remember people saying the Outer Worlds was like Fallout.
Yes. Yeah, they are.
Yeah, Outer Wilds very different.
They feel extremely like. I say this with the highest praise of like mid-tier game developer, like slightly rough around the edges, but cool like little ideas that are in there.
Yeah.
But
no, Outer Wilds is just that's an indie game. It's small and very fun.
Yeah, that is.
It's like Stairs Back was space based because I love space, so these space games they appeal to me.
The cosmic darkness of space that we all live within.
Terrifying. I've always said Outer Wilds was the scariest game I've ever played in my entire life, and that's not even a horror game.
Yeah, and
it's meant to be like cute.
That is one of those indie games. I remember when Outer Wilds came out, it was something like I wish I remember the exact year, but Outer Wilds came out like what a year or two ago, right?
I think it was like 2019.
Yeah,
I can't remember.
And I remember something to the effect of when it came out, Indiecade was like, "Congratulations to Indiecade winner from 2011, Outer Wilds," or something ridiculous.
Yes.
It was like, all right, these games that we think of as quote unquote indie games that came out of nowhere, most of them are like in production for like a decade.
Yeah, it had like a long beta.
Or just like, how does such a small team make such a huge game? It's like, oh, they spent 13 years making it.
Yeah, exactly.
Outer Wilds began in late 2012.
It was like a college project, I think.
Yeah.
It's
awesome.
So yeah, only 7 years. That's how just get 7 years. And then and then some Annapurna money at some point during that 7 years.
And they had like a team and everything at like near the end.
Yeah, right. That is the true scope of indie. To talk about like indie what is indie and indie as a term. We need to like really people need to look at like how much money does indie game have. I wish game studios had that thing like I could just go to Wikipedia and it would say the budget like I can for a film.
Yeah, I saw that, those YouTuber pages where they say like the stats for a YouTuber.
Right? Yeah.
I was looking at one of mine at one point, and it said my net worth was like $100,
Well,
and I thought that was funny because it's like the difference,
yeah.
like just looking at like a small page and seeing what it guesses, very funny to me.
Yeah, I mean, technically, if you're just a YouTuber and that's all you do in your life, your net worth would be $100.
Yeah, that's true.
But speaking of, no, we have no transition here. Do you have a favorite Toho character?
Toho is not open source. It's like copyright free, isn't it?
It's got a very open license. There are particulars to it. Like you can't
Okay.
like you could not put a Toho guest character in your game. You have to make a Toho game.
Yeah.
And
I
I don't know if I believe you cannot make 18 plus games if I'm correct.
Okay, makes sense. Yeah, I don't know any Toho characters, so I'm just gonna say my favorite Toho character is the open license they use because I think that's really
Yes.
cool.
Yeah, no, it's very cool. It allows for like a
It's
very
awesome.
free flowing, a lot of creativity, and a lot of
Yeah.
interesting designs. But also like you could make it's like fan games are a good way to get attention. But it's like I could make a commercial.
That's where I got all my attention.
Right.
Because
Right.
so I think fan games are amazing, so that's why I knew about the Toho thing, because I've looked into it in the past and I was like, wow, that's really cool that they do that.
Yeah, and I
I
don't know
wish more
how.
games did
I
that.
don't know how many. I've never done the research of how many people are at Toho, or if Toho is still just the guy with some collaborators here and there. But,
Mm.
but speaking of, nope, there's no speaking of here. Once again, we're just gonna go on break. Steven, thanks for joining me here.
Of course.
And we'll be back in about 2 minutes and 53 seconds. Bye for now. Joe. Hello, welcome back to Indiepocalypse Radio. That was Jarbreaker with "Do You Still Hate Me?" We're back with Jen, Yodak, and Steve and the whole crew. We were talking potatoes during the break, and we're talking a Jay Tolan game. What was sorry? Continue on now.
It's not Jay Tolan game, but I guess it's like from the or I don't know, like Hypnos Hypnospace Outlaw.
Yes.
Is it Jay Tolan game? Yes. Yeah. So it's from around that. There was a website about that guy, and now there is an FPS Slayer X, and there was a level called Boise Potato Festival, and it's like it's something. It reminds me something like I guess there was like a Luna Park or something like that.
Yeah, I've never
Like
heard of that. But yeah, Idaho's such a giant state. Like as I said, I had to drive 4 hours to Boise. But yeah, we got drive through potato fields.
I think if I drive 4 hours, I'm at the end of my state. Maybe.
yeah, your states are scary for Europeans.
Well, the thing to remember is you just like they start off with small settlements, and the further you get out, the further they just like stopped. There's like just gigantic chunks.
Yeah, the further west, it's just land, just endless land with nothing on it.
Whereas you could fit like New England in like I don't know what 10 New how New Englands can you fit inside of a Texas?
Many. You could
Yeah,
fit
that
to
was
the Texas in Texas.
Right.
Yeah, the Texas is there are always those maps where Texas is overimposed on other territories. You see, Texas is really huge.
Yeah, let me see how. Yeah, it is kind of. Yeah, you could. We were talking Rhode Island in the break. You could fit Rhode Island 221 times inside of Texas.
You
Gosh.
can fit Germany almost 2 times into Texas.
Yeah, right. Just two Germanys, and that's one of our states. Uh, it makes navigation like it also is why I imagine how like it's weird like they get like discrete almost like cultures like they were countries.
But
Uh,
yeah, of course. I mean, even in Germany, like the parts of Germany, they all have like their own culture.
yeah, yeah. No, it's like right. It's like you get like pockets of cultures inside pockets of cultures. Like even in Massachusetts, like Western Mass and the Cape are like drastically different vibes. Yeah.
You get the states hating other states.
Right, right. I mean, just
Is it mostly like neighboring states?
I think most just like hate California.
Oh,
It mostly just goes back to California.
because they're huge. They're so. It's
Yeah.
it's that also that's where Hollywood lives. So all the attention comes from. Where it's where all
Yeah.
we keep all of our celebs, as they say. all all the ones that are keeping German films from getting money.
yeah, that's where all our celebs are as well.
Right, right. We import other people's celebs as well because you know you can only
They're
make
only famous if they are in America.
right, right.
Here in Germany, nobody cares.
Yeah, you're not famous until you're in a Star Wars until you're in a Star Wars show as an actor or whatever.
Yeah, or Quentin Tarantino or something. Yeah.
Right, they're like, oh, I really like it. How many movies does a foreign filmmaker make before they have their quote unquote American hit that people then go, oh yes, there is that. Now I know them. Now I know this person. This I love this new director that made 7 movies.
Well, do you know
Oh,
Uwe Boll?
Yes.
Well, he's kind of infamous with making adaptations of video games, right?
Yeah.
And yeah, he's a German director. Yeah, kind of infamous, I guess,
Right.
more
Right.
so.
He's of making just a
And
bunch
he,
of
I mean, he's just like living, or like he used to just use the funds he was getting to make movies. Somehow he figured it out how to get the funds like for everything he needed, and then yeah, kept making terrible movies and not caring about the critical reception, which is kind of admirable, I guess.
yeah.
Um,
There's like yeah. He just has not stopped.
mm,
He just keeps on going, and like you forget that those kind of uh there's like this entire like cottage industry of just I don't want to call it trash art, but
well, B movies?
yeah, B movies are alive and well. Like there's all those movies you go in. There are he's made 3 in the Name of the King movies, and these
yeah.
are
And now they say like on the streaming services there is like new possibilities for the B movies
yeah.
to be released and make money.
Yeah, because the classic of like the B picture is like it's a cheaper, of lower budget, kind of quicker made movie that pairs with another movie, but we don't really
But
do that.
still, it is like I notice it's also like very genre dependent. It's not like wild fats or like something very experimental
Right.
uh, goes.
It is. It is usually. It's also it's a lot of horror. Uh,
Yeah, horror or like holiday movies, I guess.
Yeah, or like kind of I don't know how you just kind of like action or just like it's very genre. A lot of it's
Mm.
a lot of genres work.
A lot of exploitation as well.
Yes.
Like playing with the big bad things that you can use to evoke emotions.
Right. I want to
It,
go
I
with
would actually I would actually prefer like more exploitation and like you know the Tetsuo Iron Man movie, in Japanese.
heard of it.
yes.
I mean, they're like very artistic and cool. Or like in America, there is the director Cronenberg, also like sort of
Yeah.
exploitation.
Yeah,
So
he's a
I guess
body horror.
exploitation can grow something cool.
Yeah. No. A lot
You
of
don't have to worry as much about like appealing to people if you already know it's going to be small or
right.
smaller, so you can do weird things.
You can
That's the best
carve
stuff.
you can carve out your weird niche and it's I'd love to take credit for him, but Cronenberg's Canadian, unfortunately. But no, yeah, no,
Oh
he
yeah,
yeah he makes
yeah.
a long history of what you would argue it was like kind of like that sort of like B genre picks, but um, and that stuff with time also gets like reevaluated of like John Carpenter's a master of the form now. I guess,
Yeah.
but was he? Did people see him as that like the thing bombed and everything classically?
Yeah, it's so crazy to me because I love the thing. It's such a
Yeah,
great movie.
right. It's now a classic of the genre, but that's a lot about the you talked about we were talking about the impermanence of like games and like things get reevaluated, films and music because it's still like they're still super accessible to like a big general audience. It's not like you need to know how to navigate ROM sites and emulators to play them. You can just like get bargain VHSs and DVDs or watch it on streaming now, and the accessibility helps uh, things get second lives and get recontextualized more.
It's true, but on the other hand, I think with movies are now moving more and more into streaming,
Yes.
this that isn't true anymore now that I think about it. It's also
Yeah.
interesting because like movies are so much older than games, but games what when it comes to like online platforms have a lot more like they were there first. Steam is arguably now, well, it's not like Netflix, but it's like it's like on demand. You don't own the games really anymore.
Right.
Uh,
I've had people. I feel like I've mentioned multiple times of like someone has said like, "Oh, why isn't this on Steam?" Like, why would you want on Steam when you can just get an executable that you own forever? And
yeah.
it's
But it
like,
comes to accessibility, right? Because it's just so easy to get it on Steam.
yeah, right. And you just fire up your little you fire up Steam and you type in the name of the game you want to play, and it's just there. You don't have to worry about which folder did I put this in or that kind of thing, or where do I have this game available?
Does does it still run on this version of on Microsoft Windows?
Right, exactly. Do I need to patch it? All sorts
Trying to
of.
teach people how to unpack a RAR file
Oh
can be
yes.
difficult.
Yeah, and people need to like for a lot of times in Indiepocalypse, people need to get 7-zip because some of the titles are just very long. Like to like by the time you've gotten to the game, like the string is just so long. Your whatever default zip thing in Windows just does not unzip, so you have to extract it with 7-zip.
But 7-zip is also like much better, like compression wise. So
Oh yes,
that's
no, that's my
yeah.
default one that I use for everything. But
Yeah.
it's just that another one of those tech barriers, for people.
Yeah.
And that's
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 interesting that like the future of games and movies seem to like merge together in a weird way. Like I don't know how like with directors like patching their movies years after they are released on the streaming platforms, and you
right.
can't watch the old versions anymore. It's kind of to like the video game equivalent of all those updates. But usually you can get the old version. So.
Yeah, that is a very odd thing of like, you know, uh, patching a movie.
Hmm. But for a video game, it's normal. It's you want that.
Right, and because a lot of times it's like, aside from like, Star Wars, Lucas's Star Wars updates, a lot of those were kind of, or at least the ones I've seen more recently, is like, putting stuff in more in line with like modern sensibilities sometimes, or those, I think those are the few that I've seen. But like, there are also like director's cuts have been around, so there's probably still some sort of director's cuts. But also I guess the news cycle favors ones that um, bring to your attention, ones that like edited for content, which is always an
That's
odd
true.
thing. It's like,
Get like games on Netflix.
I mean,
That's kind of strange.
yeah, the argument is right. Netflix has a game publishing arm. It's
Yeah,
very
we tried to
odd.
get on there for a bit, or we wanted to, but it's so weird
But I
to
mean,
design a game for the TV, basically.
Right.
it's only natural, I guess, because the device, there are two devices, or there are a handful of devices, all computer-based, that are used to consume movies or even like books or games. So it's all now on the screen. So it's natural that all the mediums are blending together.
Yeah,
That's true.
I, I repeat on the show often. It's very odd that in 2024 we still have like three different boxes, technically four different boxes that play games, and not just one. That is,
Yeah, and that with every generation is like, oh, consoles will be obsolete, computers will be obsolete, but they preserve, yeah.
yeah, it's
But
very
again,
odd.
But I
but
think the release of the consoles has spaced farther and farther. With every new generation, it takes longer for the next to arrive. So maybe we are witnessing something.
but all the consoles are like almost PC now.
Hmm.
So I'm not even sure like if there is a point to the consoles other than maybe like some gimmick.
Right. It's like it feels like the main point that keeps them is like their hardware, that their product that these companies want to sell. Uh,
Yeah, it's capitalism.
right.
They have their user bases, and they're not giving them up. Until they get the last money out of them.
Like it makes way more sense that uh, you know you would want to, that, oh, I would make more sense to play all these games like on one thing, like you would a Blu-ray player. But Nintendo would like it if they had that one thing, and Sony would like it if they had the one box.
I like actually like the Nintendo's form factor. I think it's very promising. Like there is like the solo screen, and yeah, where you attach all the peripherals
Yeah.
to it. I think it's pretty uh, uh, That's promising.
Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah. Given the choice, I'm definitely like if we move towards one form factor, I think the Switch is like the ideal form factor for consoles. Of like I can detach this thing and bring it with me, or I can plug it in, and if that's how all consoles worked, that would be like I don't think we need any more changes really.
Uh,
Uh,
I'm
when I
not
first
sure.
started like with my own indie company, like some odd 10 years ago,
yeah,
we were convinced that like HTML5 will be the future and everybody just gonna play online and there will not be anything to install anymore and consoles will obviously only be like devices to play web games on. So our first game was web-based, and then we had to realize like there's no market, nobody's giving you money to play a web game.
right, right. That's why like Congregate and all these things kind of uh,
Yeah.
had shorter lives and trying to figure. I mean, Armor Games sticks around as like a publisher in a weird way, just like publishing regular games and console releases now.
But the sites are still online now.
I
Um,
believe so. I believe you can still go to Congregate if you wanted to.
yeah,
Yeah,
I think we still have our games on there. I realized I have to update them.
Andrew, have you thought about like a VR Indiepocalypse issue,
I just don't
something like
have
that?
the tech to do it.
Ah,
Uh,
Still really niche.
yeah, that is the big part of it. Whenever people have asked me like, "Can I submit a VR?" I'm like, I just don't. There's no way for me to play it.
Hmm.
I don't have my computer. I don't know how good it was when I bought it, and also I bought it like 10 years ago. Um,
yeah.
so it's
Yeah,
just
I had the luck to find a job. I think like now a year ago for a Berlin company that does VR and AR. And they provided me with a new PC and Oculus 2.
yeah,
And it's really interesting. Like the VR space feels like the old school gaming space where there's so much experimentation and everything is like very creative, like the solutions, how to go into the next level. Even like simple problems like buttons are still something you gotta think about. But yeah, I don't see like a big future for VR in the near future because you can't play it for very long and yeah, it's still like uh expensive.
yeah. That's also the other big. Besides it being expensive for me personally, um, that it is expensive for like there's the assumption that if you spend a 15 spot on Indiepocalypse, you just kind of get you can run everything probably in Indiepocalypse, but that like
Mm.
if you spent if there was like a VR one, it's like oh you all Indiepocalypse it has an implicit like $1,015 price tag. Um,
Yeah.
but it's definitely like a cool space. Like there's like I
Yeah. I don't have also a VR like anything, but I see always those psychedelic VR games, and
yes
it looks like really fun. And the like how ergonomic the controls are is also very uh, uh, I guess like provides a lot of imagination and creative choices.
yeah I'm really hoping for like I mean this could also be so far down the line where kind of like with regular game development or with like phones and it just eventually VR scales to something that is either affordable or it's just like gets passed down sort of like computers just become legacy hardware despite the fact that computers are like very expensive, also. But
Also, it's a very introverted, I guess, medium because
yeah,
you are alone in it, and it's hard uh, to publicize it, or I mean, like chat VR is the place, but I don't know if like the MMOs would save it or not, or like metaverses, or how they named.
yeah. There's definitely uh space to work in with this VR and like this interconnectedness, but it's also like it needs to be at the point where you don't need $1,000 PC and like you can just do it in any room easily. You don't need a huge space. And it is like there was the one. What was there was that Oculus one? I don't know how. I also don't keep up on it. Do all of how many of them still require you to have like just like pylons all over your room as well? Is that still like
I have a friend who spends like way too much time in VR,
yeah?
and I think he has the one you're talking about, where it's not that much setup, and that's
Right.
cool.
Yes. No. I think someone I knew got like the one that's like just a headset. I believe. Which I think that's it's kind of like the only form factor that will work. I think for it to catch on, like
Yeah.
if you require like a huge setup of like different like things pointing at you from across your room that requires like that room space. And but if we can just plug a thing on and look at it and see stuff, if you can just do it sitting down, there's space there.
Yeah, but I guess that's the state, uh, the current state we are at. You
Right.
just have like a headset and two controllers in each hand, one, and then you're good to go. Sometimes, like when you want to play sometimes you have it connected to the PC. That's a bit annoying, like with a huge ass cable. But then, yeah, you just sit down, play it sitting down. The problem is really if you're like getting lost in the game, like moving around will get you sick pretty easily. So
Right.
you can't do like 10-hour sessions like with the old games we're used to. So I don't know. I feel like it's lacking there. You can play like fun for like half an hour, but then you really have to do a break.
Yeah, yeah. I don't. It is not a. It is like an offshoot, of
Yeah.
what like a style of games. It is not. It's definitely not going to work as a meaningful, not replacement, but you know what I mean. A it's just
Yeah,
like a different expression of
it's like
games.
uh, it's like the big cinema for for, for 10 hours,
Right.
something like that.
Right. It is like it is your not every film is suited for IMAX. And not every piece of music is suited for an orchestra. Um, not every game would be suited for VR, but the ones that do work in those work well.
Yeah.
I presume I've played a couple of them,
Yeah, most really do.
but they seem like when it works, it seems like it works, and it's like does not work in any other form, which
Yeah,
is
it seems like that format of fast engagement and fast disengagement is like important to people.
yeah,
Mm.
yeah. Um, there's something there. Uh, but speaking of things being something there, does anyone have any? We are entering the wrap up phase of the show where I look and go, it's almost been 2 hours. My God. Uh, um, And I'm getting hungry. My mouth is like, that feeling of hungry in your mouth when you're just like, it's like I want to eat something. I don't know how to describe it.
Yeah, being hungry.
Yes. Like you don't feel in your stomach, but you feel in your mouth. I don't know if that's
Mm.
a universal experience or just experience that I'm just saying out loud for the first time.
I think
Yeah,
that's
you like move it like Pac-Man.
Yes, I want to make like Pac-Man with a pizza. I think, but
that sounds great.
but that said, does anyone else have any kind of like last minute breaking question statement? Anything they need to get out before we move to our wrap up segment?
No, not for me.
Okay.
Nope.
Well, perfect then. Then we will start closing up our show. Hey, thank you all for being here. We're getting to that important part of the show. One of these days, I'm gonna have segments. I need to think about like the show. Have to have, if you have a show with segments and like a theme that's not just talking to people. Oh my god, I screwed up. I forgot to change the guest list on the stream. Oh well.
Well, too late now.
Yeah, it's far too late now. But I hope through context clues, people figured it out. That it was not two people here. Oh, but it was Fuzzy Ghost, and Fuzzy Ghost is not even the name of a person. It's like a studio, so they could have assumed you're all of that, but you're not Australians. So context clues yet again. But that said, we're gonna get to the one segment this show does have, which is the plug segment of the show where people promote their work. And we're going to start clockwise, of course, on the stream. Steven, you mentioned your work. Where can people find it if they're looking to find your work?
Everywhere is Stephen W313, and it's on like Twitter, YouTube, Instagram, itch. That's all pretty much.
And we alluded to it, I believe, at the top of your segment, but that's Steven with a PH.
Yes, with a PH. The cooler kind.
Yes, the classical style, of course.
Yes.
I don't know which is the classical style, but
Definitely that one. Yeah.
it does feel like the V version is like when you see names, they're just kind of like literally spelt in the way that someone maybe doesn't know how to spelt. I feel like that's how you get the V version of Steven.
Yeah, it's more boring, quite frankly.
You need a little spice.
A little spice.
Yes, it's a thing I encounter. With an international show, it's a thing I encounter occasionally where it's like, I know this name needs a little spice on it, but where do I put it? And I would say I don't have a bad hit rate, honestly. But if people are looking for your work, where could they find it? Moving on.
I guess if Yodak, it's on Twitter and on the itch, but I have a lot of names, so you can find me on itch.
Yes.
Mainly.
Yeah, itch will get you there, and then you just follow itch to other places if you need to get there. I'm a fan of having a hub. Speaking of having a hub, Jen, where can
Yeah,
people find?
my hub would be the website. So
Yes.
that's spellloop.games. That's with 3 L's, spellloop. Yeah, I can also, like, if you're on Google Play, you can search for Prime Division to get my Prime Factoring arcade game. That's fun. And on Steam, I've got Kevin's Path to Wisdom, which is a dungeon crawler that I'm particularly proud of. But yeah, most of everything you'll find on itch as well.
Yes.
Spell loop there. Too.
And that own aforementioned website has all those games already on there, so you just head there.
Yes.
And it will get you where you need to go.
That's it.
Oh my god, yes, this was forever ago. That I think you sent it to like issue 3 or 4.
Possibly.
Initially. I'm like, I knew it was
But
a
I
while
made it at
ago,
last.
but yes.
Happy, yeah. Thanks for having me.
No, yeah, I don't. It's why I always encourage people, especially why I started encouraging people, telling people that there is a waiting list and that they're on it, because I do go back to it even 4 years later. I do go back to these things. But that said, because I was looking at Hypnotic Owl, I was like, yes, okay, yes, now I can time these games down.
Yeah. That's my previous company.
Yes, and there it
Yeah.
was. I clicked on one, issue 4.
Perfect.
So 40. So that's the thing, folks. Wait 40 months, and eventually, you never know.
Easy. Just some patience, and
Right.
you'll make it.
Like I said, some of the games in the next one, they didn't submit it, but they made those games a decade ago. I'm a eternal champion of older art and perseverance and just like sticking with it and whatever. Anyway, speaking of all that, and where one could persevere through Indiepocalypse, folks, you should buy that thing. You go to indiepocalypse.com. You can purchase it there. You can purchase it through itch at pizzapranks.itch.io. Indie issue 51 just came out, but yesterday. We've got a wordless Bitsy game is the newly commissioned game by Paulette, I believe. Oh no, I'm forgetting the name of the collective. Is it? I think it's Pang Pang. I believe. Am I correct? Oh, wait, is Paulette not part of Pang? Did I screw up? Is Paulette not part of? Oh no, Pang Pang Club. I was right. Yes, I was right. It was like I cannot read French. It was not the elective language I took growing up. But Pang Pang, they were like I believe, a loose like French art game collective. Purple Hike is the game of this. And we've got a lot of games in issue 51, as we always do. It's good. Check it out yourself. I don't need to explain all these games to you. Just go look at the damn games yourself. Of course, if you'd like to submit your games, indiepocalypse.com/submit. You can also sign up for the Patreon, indiepocalypse.com/Patreon. At the $5 tiers, where you get brand new commission games and just the commission games for only $5 a month. We've got the Tape Club, of course, if you want to get Indiepocalypse. No, those are two different things. If you want to get Indiepocalypse physically, it's indiepocalypse.com/tape club. If you'd like to get your games, I've got pizzapranks.com/tape market. If you're a developer and you would like to have your games printed on my USB stick in cassette case format, and you would like me just to do it for you, and either sell through my store or sell it directly to you, you can do that at pizzapranks.com/tape market, or /tape club is the monthly subscription or club sort of thing of new indie games. Not new indie games, but of like indie games in that format. Right now is an Outcry. Come the 20th, there will be a new game every 20. Is it? I can't remember if I'm doing. Anyway, I'm not going to argue about I'm not going to work through my logistics. I can't remember if it's every third Wednesday or every 20th. I think it's every third Wednesday of the month is a new game in the Tape Club. We're wrapping it up. That's the end of the show. I've burned through all my URLs. I've got too many of them. Thank you all for being here. Jen, Yurdak, Steven, true pleasure.
Thank you for having. Yes.
And hey, folks, thank you for listening. Got it. I'm nailing it every week now. This show it's a weird thing where it's like I love to do it. I don't know how it is to listen to, but it's a joy to do. As someone who's like not traveling the world and going to like game developer meetups or whatever, and like, what if I just have my own every Saturday with a little crew, and it's great. It's fun. It's a treat. I am not at all stalling for time while I find Fubar. I was. Anyway, thank you all. Goodbye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye bye.